I'm sitting here with Karen Campbell.
Hello.
Writer of episode 809, Make Your Own Kind of Music. Your Mama Cast tribute.
Right.
Yep.
Hopefully we made her proud.
Did you even know who that was before this? Because she's on the younger side of the writer in the writer realm.
Yes, I was familiar
you
with
you know pop music. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to stay abreast. Yeah.
Oh, you say that about Mama Cass? You're disgusting. As usual. Yeah, the end of the episode ends with "Okay, Mom."
Right.
Okay, Mom. And that's the big reveal that Oliver Saxon is really Daniel Vogel.
Vogel's long-lost son.
Yeah. How did it feel to be the one that gave that away?
No, it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where you're building up to an episode where a lot is explained, a lot is revealed.
You had a little bit of a splainer episode. Yeah.
For sure. But I mean, that's important to platform the excitement that's to come.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You seemed very excited the whole way through.
Really?
That is a good thing about Karen Campbell. Always, I think I feel like I'm pretty excited about working all the time, and I can't believe I get to do this for a living. And then I look over at you, and you always have the same sort of like, oh my gosh! People start complaining, and we're just like, are you kidding me?
Like, no, this is still the greatest job in the world.
Can you believe we get to do this? Yeah, and people are like, this is horrible.
Right.
I want to go home.
Well, I think we're aware.
Why go home?
Yeah, there are way more horrible things out there.
There are, and
For
we
sure.
write about them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so make your own kind of music. A lot of times when we start breaking episodes, there is sort of a overarching theme. Sometimes are very simple and sometimes are not.
Right.
You know, that we follow throughout the whole episode. Theme of this episode was
Straddling two worlds.
straddling two worlds.
Dexter doing the two world straddle.
Right. Yeah. And this is the episode where he sort of thinks it's a good thing.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
He's very, because Vogel calls him out on it.
Yeah.
And he defends it, saying, hey, look, I'm me.
Yeah.
I can do all this. I can handle the Hannah stuff, and I can show up and be a killer. I can do it all, essentially.
Yeah. And he looks at it as like, I'm special.
He's like, I'm better than everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To which Vogel is like, oh no.
Oh, no, you must understand me.
That was an insult.
Right. Right.
So let's talk about Dr. Vogel. I don't know why I said it such a high voice just then.
Because you're talking like her.
Oh, is that it?
That was Irish. I don't even
Dexter.
know. Dexter.
Evelyn.
Yeah, Evelyn, she is presented with a situation that she was wholly unprepared for.
Yes.
I can only imagine what it's like to have your kid die in a way that you could find yourself responsible for.
Right.
Perhaps.
So let's
And then
talk about that life that she lived.
You know, it's interesting because her experience with Daniel pretty much put her on the path to studying psychopaths.
Yes.
And studying their brains, how they work, how they are, all that kind of good stuff, which ultimately is what
Do you think
led
it was
her...
to like sort of in the hopes that she could correct mistakes that she made,
You know,
or
I think
like
so.
penance,
I think
or
that
what do you
she
think?
feels a little guilty about it.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, you know, she gave birth to one and was completely unprepared for what that would entail.
As most times people are.
Right. I mean, you have a normal kid, I would imagine.
It's crazy enough.
Crazy enough. But yeah, poor Evelyn. She discovered that her son had these tendencies, but didn't have the tools to help him out.
Yeah.
And so I think when Dexter came along, she saw it as a way to perhaps atone for what she failed her son
Right,
doing.
because Daniel went and killed his brother. It's like little Cain and Abel we got going on.
Yes, seriously. And so killed his brother, and then Mom and Dad shipped him off.
Here. Yep.
And then...
Felt like it was mostly Mom to a certain extent.
You know,
yeah.
I think so. It did seem that way. I mean, it's not like we ever got to talk to Mr.
Right.
Vogel about any of this.
Mr.
But,
Dead Vogel. Papa Dead.
Right. But, yeah. And so I think that, you know, Dexter's kind of been her surrogate son. And, but then the fact that she really realizes that her son Daniel is alive.
Yes.
I think that, you know, despite intellectually knowing that he might be beyond hope, emotionally, she wants to repair that relationship.
That blood is thicker than bourbon. Water.
Or bourbon.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Which I think is true of all of us. I mean, what wouldn't you do for your brother?
I'm telling you. Oh, yeah. I'd walk through fire for him.
Yeah. And your parents, too?
Yeah.
You didn't pause even, yeah. You were
I know.
straight in.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. I know. There's something about family that
there is.
It trumps our logic sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's deep in our DNA. Even to Rob G.
Yes, I agree.
I concur. So meanwhile, Dexter is realizing who this Oliver Saxon is, huh?
Right.
Which is a fun. One of the things we're always looking for in episodes, because at a small scale, Dexter is sort of a superhero.
Yeah.
He's got his kill suit, which is very much so, all he needs is a cape.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, he's got his special powers, which are, outside of killing and chopping up bodies and wrapping them in plastic and creating incredible plastic rooms. He also has all of his forensic superpowers.
Yep.
So we're always looking every episode like, how can we use this for Dexter? Which you had a great in your episode, right? With the blood.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, when he and Vogel go into Zach's studio,
Right.
his secret lair.
He's feeling pretty. Dexter's feeling pretty bad.
Yeah, he is. I think, Zach's
likes
death
Zach.
has impacted him in a way that he maybe didn't even expect.
Yeah.
And it's nice that Hannah is there to she knows Dexter so well that she can point that out to him. And when he's in there, there isn't a lot of DNA. Well, there is actually zero evidence that
Right.
points to any kind of killer.
Someone as good as Dexter, basically.
Precisely. Yeah. He has met his match. However, Zach, at least through his experience and teachings that he's received from Dexter, was able to leave some DNA underneath the table.
I love that moment in that scene when Dr. Vogel says only a psychopath would be able to have the presence of mind to leave that thing that only Dexter could decipher.
Right. While someone's trying to kill him, he has the clarity to help Dexter out,
Yeah.
leave a little clue for him to follow.
As a jock, you understand that, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. Jocks are huge psychopaths. There have been so many scientific studies.
Yeah, we'll get more into that part of your life later.
Right.
So she finds this. He finds this blood, puts it in, hoping to find, some sort of link in the criminal database and AFIS and anything he could find. And the surprising thing he finds is that there's a matrilineal link to Dr.
Vogel,
which is that's something that happened in our own city. That whole storyline sort of came out of the Grim Sleeper.
That's right.
Yeah, when the cops, some serial killer had been working here in Miami, in Los Angeles, for 17 years or whatever.
Long time.
Yeah, and they got it through a relational link.
That's right.
It's real life entering Dexter.
Real life. Look at us.
Look at us.
Look at us.
Let's talk about Hannah.
Okay.
And Dexter.
Yeah.
Because that's her journey this episode. Because she makes a big ask this episode.
She does. I mean, she pretty much makes a huge proposal. She pops the question.
She does.
In the fact that she says, hey, come away with me.
Yeah.
Because now that we've got Marshall Clayton on the scene and she's a wanted fugitive and he's actively hunting her, she realizes that in order for Dexter and she to be together, there's no staying in Miami. But there is leaving to Argentina.
Yeah.
And so she is brave and makes the ask, and Dexter says yes. Surprisingly.
Yeah. Because we spent, all of last season, season 7, was leading up to this moment where Dexter says, no, I like my life.
Fighting
I want
for
to
his,
stay here.
Right.
And now suddenly he has this connection that he's never had before. He has this ability to live in complete honesty and truth.
Yep.
He says yes.
He says yes.
Crazy.
I know. So
what have you done to Dexter? Remember when he was just like a guy that looked for the next kill every week?
He's in love.
The guy that when the full moon came out, he wanted to just go kill something.
Right.
And he looked at the rest of the world as crazy and insane.
No
and now
longer.
He's one of us almost.
He's one of us. I know.
Well done.
Thank you. Well, yeah, right. All of us. Well done.
So she makes this ask of Dexter,
right.
which is a lot of fun. And how important is that in Dexter's journey, do you feel?
Oh, I think it's huge.
Yeah.
I think that in order for him to be able to let go of this life that he's built in Miami, a place where he has only known life in this one city.
He didn't go to college anywhere else.
No.
This has been his whole
exactly.
his whole entire experience,
and
except for Nebraska.
Right, with an exception of that
Paris.
road trip. Okay, 2 road trips. So at least he's left the States. But I think that in order for him to want to spend the rest of his life with Hannah, for him to get to that place emotionally that he's found someone that he actually wants to experience that with, is big for someone like him.
Yeah. It's big for normal people.
You know what? Fair enough. Yeah, it's big for normal people. It's a big deal. And it's a very human experience. And it's fun to see this guy who, arguably once upon a time is a big monster, grow a pretty big heart.
Yeah, he's breaking good. So then, Dexter makes, speaking of big asks, Dexter asks Deborah to take on, there is to take on Hannah. And they don't, even though they have a rapprochement or a détente, let's just speak in all these other languages.
Things that sound French.
Yeah. I don't think there's any great love between them.
No.
And yet you had this pitch for the two of them taking a shower together.
I did. I still am sad that didn't wind up making it to script. But, the dinner scene between them is good. Cutely intimate. So,
Yeah. So it was how was that writing, creating scenes with these two people that normally would hate each other? I mean, you got them finally eating. She eats his food.
Deb's eating food that Hannah has prepared.
Hannah made.
Right.
After being poisoned twice by this woman.
I know, there's a lot of trust there. But I figure if Deb sees Hannah takes the first bite, and it's coming from the same bowl, can't be all that bad. But it's mostly just fun to watch these two kind of talk about real life things and actually find a point of connection in that, they're both very persistent, tenacious women who are very motivated with going after what they want.
Yeah.
Whether it be the right thing to go after or not.
Yeah. And I felt like in that episode, their connection went beyond, we both care deeply for Dexter.
Yes. They found common ground beyond Dexter, which was interesting.
Which was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Who'd have thought?
Well, it was all of us. You realize that, right?
Yeah, I know. But still.
No, but still, thanks.
And then which takes us to the ending. Dexter's trying to hunt down Saxon.
Yes.
Basically. Doesn't succeed necessarily.
No. In fact, he gets bested.
Yeah. How do you feel about writing episodes where Dexter gets bested?
I think it's fun because he's such a virtuoso. Yeah. It's kind of fun to see him in situations where there's someone who's actually better than he is. And then I think as a writer and as a fan of the show, it's great because he's going to come back harder and stronger.
Yeah.
It's not as though like, it's mostly like, whoa, okay, this guy has laid down the gauntlet and I need to rise to the challenge, which I think is fun.
I think Dexter might. There's a chance in 10, 11, or 12.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's weird. This is like the end.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Do you feel that in every episode? I mean, I've felt it in every episode we've been doing this season, thinking like, this is the last episode 9.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
Last 10, last 5, whatever.
What's interesting? I think that, because we have those big fabulous boards in the writer's room, and I think that the fact, like, every single one, it did occur to me as we're breaking each episode, I'm like, oh, this is the last 802. This is the last 804,
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's nice coming up on the end. Like, I'm going to miss everybody like crazy. But at the same time, I feel like, no, like, I think that I've been preparing myself as we've been going along.
So you're not going to just break down in tears?
You
are right now, yeah.
Don't make her cry, Scott. Come on. This is a happy podcast.
It's fun to watch her cry. You have no idea. Let's talk about you. Like, you're how'd you get on Dexter?
Oh my gosh. I came on Dexter season 3.
Right.
I interviewed with Melissa Rosenberg for the writer's assistant position.
Yeah.
And
so far, you're correct.
So I'm like, is that right? Yes. And then I've just had the wild fortune of staying on through the whole time. And it was really extra cool for me because I saw the first season of Dexter. Actually, when I saw the pilot, I became a little bit obsessed. I was like, this is amazing. How exciting that this is the kind of story that's being told on television. And then I remember, I still think the finale of season 1 is one of the best hours of television I've ever seen.
Yeah. Super great.
Super great. And so
great
to work, I know.
Super
great. But to work on a show that you are such a fan of and love so much has been hugely rewarding. I would say the only con is that I know what's going to happen. But other than that, I just feel I'm really lucky and it's been really awesome.
Just like poor Rob G here, he's got to hear about every episode
Rob
before
G,
he even gets to see it. We're destroying dreams every day. But what's odd, I guess, what I find intriguing about you is that you, we were talking about being a jock, you could have been something completely different had you chosen to.
No.
Like a lot of us, most writers are sort of like, oh, this is all we have. Oh, I hope this works out.
True. You could have been a wrestling champ.
No. Because you were you went to USC.
I did.
And you studied what there?
I studied undergrad. I studied marketing and theater, and I wanted to study film and television, and I couldn't because at the time I was a scholarship athlete. I was a swimmer,
Right.
And all of the film classes happened during practice, and so I couldn't be like, yeah. So it was never going to work out. However, I applied for grad school and then got my fix in grad school studying.
Were you swimming in
film and
grad
TV.
school too, or no?
No, I wasn't.
But you are a world champion.
Well, back in the day, yeah.
But you were. I mean, once you are, you always are. It's
Well,
like,
I guess that's true, but I feel like people swim so much faster now.
yeah, but you wear the.
You were once a world champion. You still have that.
Thank you,
she
Roger. Okay, guys.
She had a
thanks,
ring.
Guys.
Own it.
She used to wear a ring when you were the writing assistant.
I know, before I got my other ring.
Right,
My
that's
hitch, getting hitched ring.
Hitched up to the Viking.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, I was on the national championship team in '97. I got to represent the United States on the national team and swam globally and, in world championships and Pan American gold medalist. Like, it was a lot of fun.
So why didn't you end up pursuing that?
Well, honestly.
Usually when you're great at something,
I know,
that's what
but
you do.
Here's what's interesting, and this is what
Not that you're a great writer. You are a great writer.
You're like, you need to work on the writing.
Get back to swimming now. Get that green chlorine hair
I'll
going.
tell you what, my dad might be psyched. He's like, yeah, give it another run. But I think what it is like, as an athlete, and I was really hyper aware of this even swimming in college, was that it becomes your identity in a lot of ways. And I didn't want to be, Mr. Glory Days. Yeah, and I didn't want to be the Bruce Springsteen song, where it's like, hey, the best time of my life was like, 16 to 21. I find that that'd be wildly depressing. But I feel like when you do excel at something, people put that label on you. It's like, oh, she's a swimmer, or oh, he's a football player, or et cetera, et cetera.
We call you swimmers.
No, you do. No, you do.
Or
You
Tim
do, which
Slotman
is
for sure does,
totally fine. I mean, it is part of who I am. I mean,
We're
at
just
least it was
jealous.
back then. Oh, that's very kind. But no, you're not.
No,
you're not. You wouldn't want to be a jock for a million years.
Yeah.
But even in college, I would write little short plays and I would direct little plays and stuff to kind of have a life outside of the athletic realm, just because. And plus, I loved it, which was part of it. But
why did you want to become a writer then?
Because there's something so much fun about just telling stories, and having people engaged, whether it be, emotionally making people feel something, whether it be laughter or happiness or sadness. I just feel like there's something really fun about that.
Is there a TV show in the swimming world?
No.
Oh, okay.
Although, I mean, maybe if you could do a show where it's like Atlantis and it's like, a bunch of mermaids and stuff like that. Because otherwise, I got to be honest, swimming is boring. I mean, the only way I got through it is because I had like a team of like, because we had a co-ed team, which was a lot of fun. And we were there like 60 of us and we were all in the trenches together every single day. And without all of my teammates, because you're training so hard and it's so not fun like 80% of the time. Racing and winning is fun, but the training part was not a blast.
Yeah. And yet here you are now, writing on Dexter.
Right, way more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were a writing assistant for a couple seasons, 3 seasons, or?
Yes, I think so. I think.
Stuck it out, learned it. I mean, I know I sort of came up the same way.
Yeah.
As a writing assistant, and
Totally.
you learned so much about storytelling, about
Right.
TV writing, about everything.
Completely invaluable.
Yeah, and how to work with other people, which
Yes.
is extremely important and sort of odd for writers generally because they're a curmudgeonly bunch sometimes.
But the weird thing is that it's a very much a team environment,
Yeah.
which I actually love, coming from a sports background where you're collaborating together, you're in it together, you're all
People
trying
have
to work
strengths.
together. Completely.
You know what I forgot to talk about is Marshall Clayton. First,
Oh,
the
yeah,
guy
yeah.
Lem from The Shield.
Well, let's see. Marshall Clayton breezes on the scene.
Yeah.
And he pretty much presents...
U.S. Marshall Clayton.
U.S.,
Sorry,
correct. Sorry, Deputy
U.S. Marshall.
God, we had to get that right, didn't
Yeah.
we? But he rolls in, and he's there to get Hannah.
Right.
And he another complication for Dexter.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh my gosh, like right at the beginning, he and Hannah is like, hey, she can go live in Naples. They'll still see each other on the weekends. Like, they're going to make this thing work. And then this additional obstacle rolls in. And he's there to get her. Elway wants to get her too, so he can get the reward money. So it's just another way, like, the world is kind of closing in and kind of fighting against Dexter and Hannah riding off in the sunset together.
Yeah.
Because
we were, what was it, the Weathermen? We were talking about that, how there was that woman who was part of that terrorist group, the Weathermen, who
Yeah.
like set a
That's
bomb
right.
and blew up some cops. And,
That's right.
And how she was living in
Minnesota or something.
as a
benign
housewife,
place.
and no one
Right.
knew anything. So
No.
so there was a thought. Well, maybe there's a way that Hannah could live 3 hours away,
And no one would be the
suburb,
wiser.
and no one would know. Because really, when we were looking up the U.S. Marshal 10 Most Wanted list, most of these people have been missing for 10, 20 years.
Right. They
It's
don't have
amazing.
the greatest statistics
Yeah.
for getting the
I guess
fugitives
if you really
back.
get away, you can get away, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whitey Bulger, right? There's another guy.
Right,
that's
there's another
hanging out
guy.
in Santa Monica.
So it's kind of fun. So you're like, oh, in the beginning.
My
they
first job
think-
was in a bookstore. I probably waited on that guy.
You probably
Yeah.
did. You probably sold him some books.
Yeah. Cooking books. There you go. 809.
809.
Yeah. The last one ever.
Yeah.
You're part of history now.
So are you.
Yeah, look at us. Well
Yeah.
done.
Hey.
Crazy.
Way to go, Michigan originals.
That's right. Well, I'm from Chicago, but I went to school
Okay,
in Michigan.
fine, fair enough. I always try to make you be a Michigan person.
I know.
Sorry.
My parents are now, so it's all good. Quinn and Jamie.
Oh, right. Or actually, I guess Quinn and Deb.
Yeah.
So, as Deb, is kind of tentatively considering coming back to the force, she realizes that, but I know who my brother is, Dexter, and that's never going to work out.
Right.
But Quinn winds up coming to her for some help
Right.
on this Zach Hamilton thing. And ultimately, through the two of them working together, the old mojo is kindled a bit. And Quinn winds up kissing Deb.
So awkward.
A little awkward, yes. However, it's a situation
Good.
where I don't think, it's awkward good. It's kind of like, I think Deb probably thought that chapter was closed. And, I think Quinn tried to move on. But ultimately, some people have an undeniable connection. And I think that it's too bad for Jamie, honestly.
Poor Jamie.
She's just set up camp in his house, and now all of a sudden he's kissing another girl. But it's not just another girl. It is Deb.
Yeah,
and
it's his
arguably,
true
it's his
north,
true.
sorta.
It is. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Jamie.
Poor Jamie.
I
what,
have a
though?
feeling like she'll land okay.
She's gonna be okay. I'm not too worried. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got skills. All right. Well, thank you so much, Karen
Thank
Campbell,
you.
for coming in.
Thank
How
you.
about
guys.
this? Huh? I'm glad you finally made it. Last time we couldn't get you on the podcast because you were actually in the hitching position. You were getting married.
That's right. Honeymooning.
positions
I
are
was.
different.
I
Honeymooning.
know. I'm not sure about that position.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to ask Lauren Gussis what that position is.
Ask Gus. She'll
What's
know.
the hitching position? Up next we have some behind the scenes stuff.
Oh,
some
fun.
of the behind the scenes people to tell us about some things on Dexter that I bet even you've never thought of, and you think of everything.
Right.
So make sure you listen to Karen
I'll
Campbell.
tune in for sure.
At least to hear your own voice,
To hear yours.
the dulcet tones. There we go. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hey, so we're sitting here with the art department on Dexter. This is a very cool thing. It's a very colorful place. There are horses and pictures of nude people and piñatas and bourbon and books. I see Jessica. I see Adam. I see Arthur.
Hi.
Hello.
How you guys doing? So let's talk about who you guys are. This is first we'll start with you, the production designer.
Yes.
And your name is
Jessica Kender.
Jessica Kender. Let the record show.
Exactly. I production design the show.
So what does that mean, production design the show?
I am, in conjunction with the director of photography, in charge of the look of the show.
Correct. Okay.
So I am in charge of making it look like it is Miami, and more importantly, that it is Dexter.
Right. Which is a tough thing because a lot of people don't realize this, but we do not shoot in Miami except for like every other season. We might go up there and shoot some exteriors. Dexter driving over a bridge, Dexter walking to a courthouse.
And we actually haven't been to Miami in 2 years.
Yes. So you make what, like San Pedro?
San Pedro and Long Beach.
And Long Beach look like Miami.
A lot of Long Beach.
Yeah.
Our goal in making it look like Miami is to get water in almost every shot.
It is true. It is. You would think that Miami is on the ocean, which it is. So
Yes,
it all
it
makes
is.
sense.
Yes, it is. Something's going right.
So you're in charge of the look, both interiors, exteriors, the
Yeah.
whole 9 yards,
Yeah.
everything.
Everything.
And that includes like guys putting up signs and
And the
changing-
tone of the show. You
So
know,
what's that
Dexter
mean, the
has
tone?
a specific sort of feeling to it. You know, it's Miami, but a little bit of Miami even more saturated. You
Right.
know, Dexter has like a little bit of, let's pop the colors. Let's
Right.
make that sort of that bright, hot, steamy look.
Yeah.
That Miami, when you think of, you know, the nightlife and all that, you want to see that in our show regularly,
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, the nights this season have looked, last 2 seasons really have looked spectacular. Yeah,
They
a lot
have.
of colors and
And a lot of wet downs.
a lot of wet downs.
I am so tired of wet downs. I'm just
No, they look great.
exhausted.
They
by
do
them.
look good.
Oh,
Because
God.
that's the thing. It doesn't rain here much in LA.
No.
But in Miami, it rains almost every day.
In fact, we are shooting off season this year, and the biggest fear was that it would rain and we
That's
wouldn't be
right.
able to. And it happened once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiny drizzles,
Yeah.
tiny LA drizzles.
And everyone was scared. Yeah.
So we also have sitting at the table
Adam Rao.
Adam Rao.
Yep.
And what do you do?
Cow. I'm the art director.
So what's that mean?
That
What's the
means-
difference between a production designer and an art director?
That's a great question. I'm prepared to answer that question.
Yes!
You have
I love
money.
sitting
you
here
have
with the art
money.
department.
You have time. You have space, and the art director is the communication hub between her vision, Jessica's vision, and making sure. Yes, Arthur.
That's cool.
Oh,
Arthur,
The hub.
for the people that aren't viewing this, Arthur just started pointing at him excitedly.
yeah. So it's the money, time, and space. It's making sure that Jessica's vision, the show's script, and all of the people that make those things happen kind of converge, so that Jessica isn't inundated with questions. Because one thing a lot of people don't know is that there's always a show prepping and always a show shooting. So Jess is in a van, scouting, looking for new locations, prepping the next script, and I'm executing the wishes that she's prepared for the shooting script. So
Okay.
we're kind of a team. We pass it back and forth, answer questions, field questions for other departments like effects, props, etc.
I like this part about how Jessica spends a lot of time in vans.
Yes.
She does.
White vans.
White vans.
Yeah. The kind we were raised to be scared of.
Yeah. Driving around Long Beach and San Pedro and Hollywood.
It's my brother's theory that all I do is like answer emails, the phone, and point at pictures. Yeah, which is pretty accurate. Yeah.
It's a lot of that.
Yeah, there is a lot of that.
Yeah. And then Arthur Chadwick.
Arthur Chadwick.
And you are the...
I am the set designer.
Yes.
I take whatever scribbles, ideas, or images I'm given from the production designer and get all of that onto paper for the mill to start building from, like as quick as possible.
So designs. And,
Scribbles can be accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. There's an entire language. I have known Jess long enough that there is a method of communication between us that bypasses many normal methods.
so you like scribble me this?
Well, for example, let's say
Yeah.
we have a room. You can see we have our little, on the top of our ceiling, Arthur has printed out a full-size scale.
Okay.
And I'll be like, here's a box with these 2 doors here. Here's some research. How big do you want it? I look up, I count, let's say 12 by 14, and then it becomes something
Oh, okay.
awesome.
The ruler
Like
is
a
there
cistern.
because previously she would simply suffice from counting ceiling tiles, which are generally on 2-foot squares or 2
Yeah.
foot by 4 foot. And there, after a remarkable quantity of sets, all based on increments of ceiling tile, I simply allowed the ruler to give us a flexibility of odd number sizes in between those.
Everything was so even. Right on. All right, so let's talk about Dexter production design then, right? There's a lot of iconic places. You know, let's start with the kill room.
Yes.
Putting together a kill room is because that's different every time. It's not like, yeah,
And
it's-
he's sort of refined his kill room skills as he's gotten along. His
Right.
stuff is much, much tighter than when it began. And in fact, we recently pulled up the episode, first pilot episode.
Right.
His
Look at that
first
cistern,
kill
yeah.
room, totally different than what we do now. Because
Yeah.
he's like evolved as a kill room maker.
Yeah.
Like everything now is crisp and tight and, everything
Plastic.
is wrapped perfectly.
Yeah.
And back then, he didn't even cover the entire floor. It was pretty interesting.
Huh?
It's
Yeah.
like he has a lot more time and more people working for him now.
It's true he has both of those things. I think it's important to say that when we do a kill room, we always have to budget extra
Yeah.
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
They, without fail, it is the one set that we are going to be working on up until company shows up.
Wow.
Everything else we try and have like set the day before. We'll do a walkthrough with Scott Buck.
Right.
All of that is ready. A kill room you're going to be working on until the last minute. They take forever. They do. They take forever. And there have been times like when we did the snow tent where
Right.
I was there stapling to get it
Wow.
on camera. I don't know what it is, but those are toughies.
Is it frustrating? I mean, it's not like other rooms where you you paint the walls and you make everything look pretty and it's supposed to look like a very specific thing, but a lot of times kill rooms are covered in plastic.
So we've started addressing it. When I first started, I didn't quite get that almost everything goes away.
Right.
But now I try and build in interesting features so that you'll see it under the plastic, because otherwise it does all go away. We're doing a ceiling now that in real life would be corrugated metal.
Yeah.
But you're never going to see that through the plastic. So instead we're just doing like some big strips to make lines, and that's all that's going to come across. So I've gotten better because now I know you've got to do interesting things.
Are kill rooms always on stage? They're just about always?
Well, we did do one this season that was out on location, but we try and do it on stage.
We've done a few, right? The Pink Hotel, wasn't that in episode 1 this season was on a location?
Although that was just for a little quick little pop. In general, we try and do it on stage so that they can get really funky angles. You know, you're always going to want to be over whoever's getting killed, and so you're going to want no ceiling.
The camera prowls a lot in the...
I mean, you were there.
Yeah, I've been wrapped in plastic.
We've seen you.
They've seen all of me. It's like weird. Everybody was there. I was like, hey guys, what's going on? I'm nude. In my nude panties.
Little push-ups before you went on.
I didn't. I should have. So kill rooms, a lot of work. Sounds like you said a lot of work. And then...
which I've seen, like, fans post their own kill rooms for parties and stuff.
Yeah.
I bet they know. They know it takes
amazing,
a long time.
Right? Mm-hmm. Dexter's apartment.
His apartment has actually gotten... the person who really lives there down in Florida has gotten offers to buy the condo.
Oh, I bet.
From fans. Yeah. It was designed by Brandy Alexander.
Right.
On the first season, and is the one set that we never touch.
Okay.
Every other set, a director will come in and maybe something for the script, you want to change it around, you might want to push a little furniture where it doesn't normally go. Right. Dexter's is the one set nobody can change. Right.
And it's all very neat and tidy, and like even the closet is the clothes are lined. Yes, everything's in its correct place. But then, was it last season or the season before that you built out Dexter's apartment?
That was the one time we changed it. Would have been truncate the bathroom, add a hallway, and build Harrison's to match onto the entire other side.
What I am amazed at is there is a site where people draft up, the plans. Yeah. And someone realized that we changed the footprint to add Harrison's. And it was this little change of the bathroom, which you were only in like season 1 and never in back there again. So we changed the bathroom, and we changed a tiny little corner of the bedroom. This person caught it and was like, here's what I think it was supposed to be, but I can't figure out how he walks to Harrison's. Here's my guess. And he was totally right.
Holy cow.
And these are like crazy gift drawing plans that you can buy in frames. It's really amazing, the dedication. They're really pretty. They're prettier than my drawings.
And
you feel
accurate.
threatened? I'm impressed and threatened.
You thought about hiring that guy?
Oh! He's not as fast as me.
That's true. No, you are fast. Because sometimes you'll be like, we've switched the set. It's going to be here. It's like, okay. Yeah. 10 minutes later, you got something laid out.
That's how we do it. Speed is king. There's no time, baby. We gotta go. Get this done.
So you added Harrison's place, which is an entirely different...
Wait, can I just add to the speed? To give people an idea, we shoot a new episode every 8 days. Right. Within 4 or 5 days, we'll have designed up, like this episode, 4 sets, and they will be standing by the end of that.
Not even by the end of that. By the end of 3 and 4 days, we've had sets go up in 2.
Yeah.
I mean, if the schedule falls in such a way that day 1 is a new set, we blitzkrieg and we get it done.
Yeah. So how many people does it take to build a set?
Right now, I think we have 14 or 15 carpenter and laborers downstairs and painters. So that break that up. There's probably 4 painters in that, and then we have a general foreman and a construction coordinator. And then on top of that, you have set deck, which is probably 6 or 8 people at this point because they have to go out in the city of LA, gather all the pieces, and put them in the rooms. Yeah, it's a fleet of people plus the truck drivers.
Is it like round the clock stuff, or is it?
Depends. Sometimes it has been. We've had sets where we've had to do round the clocks, where we've had 2 crews, a night crew and a day crew. That doesn't happen that much because of the cost, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Actor availability will drive that.
But typically, you should be able to do this. This is a typical TV schedule. You should be able to do it in 12-hour days.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like someone's always down there on the set, hammering away.
Sometimes when I've toured people through, they always seem it's neat to see it through their eyes because they're inordinately impressed that where a set is standing, I'm like, well, yeah, the painters are going to finish, set deck's going to come in, this will have furniture in it by 10 a.m. tomorrow, then they shoot it, then we tear it down, then the next one goes up. And they're really impressed by the speed. And I'm like, well, what do you think we do with the rest of the time? You know, it's going to go through this. It's got to come down. We got all these other things to do. We're not just shooting an hour a day and hanging out the rest of it. It's go, go, go.
Yeah, it's like 4 months of always slightly behind, but hoping to get slightly ahead.
Well, and space totally dictates on what Jess can design to because...
Let's talk about that, yeah. We're on 3 sets? 3 stages, I mean?
We're on 3 stages. 2 of them are pretty, packed full. We have very little floor space for that. But starting this season, Jess had a challenge. She had to fit 3 permanent sets on basically 1 stage. 4 stages. Oh, yeah, 4. That's right.
Yeah.
So what are the permanent sets that we normally keep? We have the station.
We have the station. We have Dexter's apartment. We have Deb's apartment. We have Matthew's office.
Right.
Those are those are, and then whatever become the permanent sets for the season itself.
Right.
Like the church or Dr. Vogel's.
Let's talk about Dr. Vogel's apartment or house or whatever that is.
Home office
for this season.
I love it.
Yeah, it's different colors, lots of windows.
Yep. We have a exterior location that has a curved front that matches what we did in the back, and then I found this piece of research that was a fireplace. I showed it to Arthur, and basically we built the set off of the fireplace.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that fireplace. That's what started all this. Dr. Vogel's place.
But I think you talk about the fireplace and what's behind that because I think that's interesting.
Oh, that's true. Behind the fireplace is actually the headboard of Dexter's bed. So when you are in Vogel's, we roll the fireplace out, the wall flies up in the air on the set, and then you're right in Dexter's apartment.
Wow. Yeah. It's amazing how you just jam all this stuff in together, and when you're watching it, you have no idea.
Yeah, and I mean, we do a lot of stuff for camera, like when you look at Vogel's, there's the big red painting behind her head all the time.
Yes.
You take that down, that's a camera port. You know,
oh, wow.
There are lots of little...
So you guys decide paintings and all of that
sort of
stuff.
Yeah, that painting was actually custom made. We wanted to do a mix between kind of Diego Rivera to get in some of like just sort of the more, I don't know, a little bit of his sort of feeling. I'm not expressing this well. But we took out his pictures where he has all the calla lilies, and I loved it. But then she's a little bit more sort of psychological. We wanted to bring in a little O'Keeffe. Okay. And so to get that, we had this piece custom made because you can't just rent gorgeous art and have it up all season and afford it. So we showed this Diego Rivera, this O'Keeffe, and then that's a mix of the two.
Didn't O'Keeffe do the vaginas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think she'd want you to say that they were vaginas. They were flowers.
They're flowers.
Or cavities.
So behind her, wow, that's interesting.
Who did the painting for us? It wasn't Dave, was it?
No, it was Gus Harper.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you reach out to other artists and stuff.
Well, what's great is our decorator, Jeffrey Kushan, actually knows tons of people, and he was like, I have the perfect person for this. And because he's so good at it, he was able to be like, no, let's try it like this. Let's try it like this. And we were able to have like sample pieces made up. It was actually one of the few things when Michael directed his episode that he like noticed and spoke about from like a design standpoint. He was very involved in the entire process. But in Vogel's office, he was like, that painting.
Talk about Michael C. Hall when he directed episode 2.
Yeah. You know, he was like, that's interesting. Can we abstract it a little more? And we were able to because it was a custom piece.
That's cool. So let me think. What other sets are there at season 8 that people should know about?
It's a little bit. It's almost more cinematic this season in that when you watch these sets that we've put up, they're really beautiful and solid, but they've got that very modern, clean, natural look to them. We've got can I say?
Yeah.
That we have a big private detective agency.
Right. Let's talk about Elway's.
Apartment.
Because Elway's is like very, very bright and windows and orange and.
There's a trick in Elway's that I've never done before that was really fun for me to learn. We have these ceiling pieces, and you have to make the ceiling pieces come in and out so you can get lighting in or camera in.
Right.
And ideally, I would have had a drop ceiling that you see in any office building, but we didn't have the money for it. So instead, Jeff Jur came up with the idea to basically LED light.
Jeff Jur is the
director of photography.
Yeah.
He lights the ceiling pieces, so they have this like really high-end glow to them, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it again and again.
It's cool. Yeah, it's a beautiful set. Lots of it's a lot of clean lines. And
Yeah, but I was using.
I never would have thought of it as a PI, private investigator office either. Which it's interesting the way it looks, because we're sort of trained to think of shades and bourbon and dirty desks and wood.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But it's important to note, too, that we start sometimes just has to start with an exterior location because
Yes.
you have to find the outside before you can design the inside.
Some of the language
real
of Elway's
location,
was
yeah.
dictated by the place that we were using for the outside shots,
Which was?
the building, the Technicolor building
Yeah.
right here on campus. In fact,
Yeah.
that gave us the whole language of like horizontal aluminum lines, which we picked up on the inside enough to give it a good distance. But if if a fan is driving down Sunset, they might well recognize the exterior of Elway's.
That's always. Yeah.
be
No,
super
that's
cool.
really fun.
One of my favorite things in Elway's is there's this big ring of light over the conference room table.
Right, yeah.
And I really wanted this donut. I had it in my head we were going to have this donut up there, and it was because I never really watched Ugly Betty, but I saw the sets and they were all these like white curves. And
Yeah.
I was like, I want to put a big white curve, not for any, just because I thought it
You
would
like
look
it.
cool.
Yeah.
And she also really loves donuts.
Which means she loves Fridays on Dexter.
Yeah.
Fridays on Dexter, we get donuts.
But
Spared no
I'm
expense.
looking at it, and I tell Arthur I want this big ring. He draws it in. I walk Jeff Jur through it, and he's like, "Oh, it's your Doctor Strangelove."
Yeah.
And I was like,
What's that?
"It's
No,
my
you knew.
Ugly Betty."
The other thing I love about Elway's set is I was bopping around it one night when we were shooting, and there was a behind his desk. There's samurai swords, and then there's even a little plaque on the samurai swords that say that Elway has gone through samurai training.
Okay, so when the character was created, right? He was
Yeah.
like this high-end guy, but he didn't have that much of like a backstory, right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
we just knew he was an old cop, and now he's like got some money and he has this high-end agency. And so me and Jeff were trying to figure out like what's going to be behind him. What are his hobbies? And he
Yeah.
was like, I got it. He's like, he's kind of the like manly dude, but the sophisticated one. So he's like, we're going to do samurai sword and collect high-end cars.
Yep. There's the cars on the
And
back.
we were able to give him like a little character without like
Yeah.
making him be somebody. And we did run it by Scott, and I was like, here's what we're thinking. Is it too out there? But it looks great.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit. The fact that production design really does on TV shows, movies, whatever. It does inform the character.
I almost feel like we get to create the character
Yeah.
a little more than even the actors if it's a new character.
Yeah.
Because we'll come up with stuff, and then I'll go to like the costume designer, and all of this is run through the producers, but we'll
Right.
go to the costume designer and be like, here's where we're going with this person, which will then dictate what that person wears.
Right.
Or in collaboration, sometimes like when we started with the character of Isaac. Isaac. Kathleen showed me, I'm dressing him like this. And I was like, oh, I know who that is. And so even before they've had a chance to do it, they walk onto the set and we're like, you like to do these things, like you eat this
Yeah.
food, you pick out this like place to live, and you almost create them before they get a chance to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think an example this season is, Jamie was cooking something, and then all of a sudden Jess was like, she's going to be a really good cook. And we filled up Batista's refrigerator and cabinets, and she cooks a lot now. And I think that was a part because of the idea to really flesh out the cooking idea.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it took off.
And like your joke about gumshoes, think how differently Elway and everyone in there would carry themselves, how different every scene would have been if that was like a dark little wood paneled place with one window instead of this huge aluminum, bright, full of orange and LED lights.
Yeah. It informs who Elway is. It informs the
Well,
character.
and it
Yeah,
makes
everything,
Deb even more out of place, which I think is
Yeah.
important to keep her like not comfortable.
Yeah. In the spot that she was in. Let's talk about Deb's beach house.
Deb's Beach House was based on a location.
Okay.
It was a location that everybody loved. And when we showed it to Sarah, she was like, "That was it. This
Sarah
is it."
Colleton,
Yeah.
the executive producer of the show.
Yeah. She was like, "I want her to live there." But then we had the issue of it's a great place. How could she afford it?
Right.
And so it was actually you guys wrote it in to explain how she could afford this place.
Right. That was the homicide happened there. And it was bloody, and how are you gonna? They played the guy a little bit.
But the part everyone loved about it was the exterior location, right?
Yep.
Because I love to point out to people that that actual house, the interior is like this beautiful maritime deco fantasy.
Yeah.
It was like some millionaire's house for his mistress for 80 years, wasn't it? And inside
Or
was all-
something.
it's curved
Allegedly.
wood. That's
Yeah.
my story, and I'm going to go with that because whatever the truth is, mine's better. And it's the actual location is all like curved oak with beautiful brass fittings and all maritime styled, lacquered to within an inch of its life. And of course, Deb's is a beach house. And where did inspiration for that come from?
That came from Fire Island. I would go 1 week every year with my family, and the whole front part of her beach house is based off of like the sitting porch where I spent all my summers.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels very. I don't have the right words, but like rustic, I guess, a little more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's gnomes in the back area.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
Who knew that Deb liked gnomes?
Well,
or do you think
were
they
left
belong
over
to the other?
from the old couple, and she
Yeah.
never moved them.
That's what's sort of fun about Deb is it's like this house is mostly good. Okay.
Yeah, done.
I'll put my bed in here and a fridge.
Yeah, and beer.
And beer. Mm-hmm. Not so much beer anymore. Deb
true.
quit drinking after
She
her downfall. Is there Batista's place? That was a brand new set this year because Batista got the money from LaGuardia's death and was able to move into a house. Anything?
I do love the house, although we don't see it that much.
Right.
So pay attention for the few little glimpses.
Is there anything
you do.
that is telling about Batista in that house that people should look for?
Well, go ahead.
I got one. Is that whenever I take people through to show it to them, I think it's fantastic that as you walk through the house, you go down the hallway. First, we get to Jamie's room. In Batista's house, we get to Jamie's room, which is beautiful and big and has the canopy bed, opens up to a massive bathroom. And I always point out that's because we really want scenes where we can see, like, maybe Jamie wandering around in her pajamas or topless or doing some business. All
Which we
through
do,
this.
like first episode practically. Yeah.
Then you go down the rest of the hallway, you get to Batista's room. It's a flat that kind of ends after 4 feet, and there's nothing else there. Because we're not going to, no one cares. Sorry, buddy,
true.
we're not going into your bedroom.
Yeah. And in fact, if you pay attention to Quinn's new apartment, the bathroom is set up specifically for special
shower engagements.
If you're on the bed and you're
You didn't
watching.
tell the writers this.
If you're in the living room,
us.
you can look all the way through to the shower. I'm like, that?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Last few seasons, there have been some pretty iconic sets that you put together, like the church in season 6.
The church was a
gorgeous,
feat that
scary, amazing.
I owe a lot to Arthur.
Arthur.
Who owes a lot to history. I didn't design
and
the
Jesus.
church. Yeah, and Jesus.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
That we spent a long time looking for an exterior.
Right.
And we were out for, usually a prep is like 6 weeks before we start shooting. And we looked for that exterior for like 3 weeks, hadn't found anything. And we hit the point where we just had to build no matter what because we were going to be stuck.
You called from the van.
yeah.
You called me. It was like, just put a church on paper.
Yeah. I was like, I want to see stone, like I want this sort of crumbling. I gave him some very basic ideas. I came back and he was like, here's a basic plan of the entire church. What do you think? And then we found a location and we're able to sort of customize it. And we're lucky enough to have a great construction crew and paint crew who, all the stone you see in there is fake. We have plasterers who come and like do that treatment. We had a scenic who just did the murals and did them in a crumbling way. It was a really...
And the stained glass designed by the graphic artists and put together and printed. And
yeah, it's actually printed on plexiglass, and then the leading is done by layers and layers of ink.
Yeah.
It was...
Graphic designer does a lot of the...
He does all the awesome stuff that you've seen, Kevin. He has done the stained glass. He did Lewis's mural. He did really anything you see that's 2D artwork, he does.
That includes Dexter's searches, anybody on their iPhone.
So that's production design.
It's a
That's
very,
part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jess is monitoring anything that goes on screen that isn't clothes or people. I mean, you have to think of cars too. She's working with all the vehicles, ambulances, any kind of trick that works with effects. You have to make sure it's looking appropriate for this show.
I know sometimes I hear Kevin yelling,
Crying.
because it's so easy for us as writers to write. Dexter does a quick search on LexisNexis for 8 different things, and I'm like, now I'm aware, and I'm like, oh, so I feel like a little bit of guilt when those things happen.
No, you don't. No, I do. The writers really feel that.
No, I do, because there was one day where I heard Kevin just like, and I came in, I was like, I'm really sorry.
There was this one time where there were flowers. I forget what it was about, but it was flowers, and it was a clue.
Yes.
And
yeah, that was the day.
Yes, and it was he opens the computer or she opens the computer and searches the flower person's name.
Yeah.
And Kevin was like, really? It can't be just on the card where the flowers are. It can't be just on the card.
He gave us that solution, actually.
Yeah.
So then we were like, yeah, let's change that in the script. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah.
I want to be clear, too, that Kevin is glaring at us from across the room. He's just declining to join in.
He's always glaring at us from across the room. Is there any other any other things we should look for in season 8 that give character, or things that people may not notice when they're looking at the sets or looking at?
Well, I mean, I feel like one of the most fun challenges we've had this season is Yates's backyard. That was kind of a fun.
Oh, right.
Thing to
That
explore.
was episode 5, right?
Yeah.
That was my episode. Yeah.
So, I don't know, can we talk about that? Okay, we can. Okay, so we basically had to find a backyard that would allow for us to dig it up. And we had to bury 5, we had to make grave sites and ultimately bury women in them. And finding a homeowner in Long Beach that would say, yeah, sure, dig up my yard. There's a lot of parts and pieces, making sure you're not killing trees, making sure you're not damaging water pipes, making sure you're not injuring gas lines. But on top of that, that's the gears. Now you got to make sure it tells a story. You got to make sure the graves are deep enough. Are they placed correctly? Are the camera angles appropriate? Is the tree trimmed high enough?
Right.
Those are all.
There's like a rose bush wrapped around.
Yeah, there's
one
rose
of the
bushes. So you're working in
corpses.
combination with the greens. Pete, our greensman, is working very hard to find the right rose bush that tells you years, because there's a 3-year-old,
Right.
a 6-year-old, and a 9-year-old rose
Another
bush.
thing easy to write, and then you guys gotta.
And
we actually had to get rose bushes where we trimmed the live roses off of some and put them onto the smaller ones because we couldn't find different size and age ones that were all blooming.
Yeah.
And then you also have to work with the props department, who's getting the right skeleton, the female or Caucasian, making sure that is aged appropriately. It's been in the dirt long enough. And then you're working with wardrobe to get the clothes and making sure they aged appropriately. So there was a lot of conversion there, and it was all happening very quickly because that was something that was... It wasn't necessarily a surprise, but I think it happened earlier in the schedule, and all of a sudden it was like, we're going for this. We're digging up this yard, and we're doing it. That was
You've done
fun
a
one.
lot of crime scenes.
We also,
Lot of
at
crime
that
scenes,
one,
huh?
we did the walk through the house, and then we
Right.
go into his basement, but that actual house didn't have a basement. The basement that we did is on set, so we built an entire section onto this house that you actually exit out their side door. We
Right.
made it into a door to the basement. So if you look at the front of the house, there's this little outcropping off the side of it. That's to hide the fact that we had to build stairs so it could look like Michael heads
Right.
down the stairs.
And then we have to tie that to stage because the continued rest of the basement was on
That
stage
happens a
8.
lot, huh? Where
Yeah, I would say at least once a script there's some sort of tie-in. In this particular episode we're shooting, we're in and out of Deborah's house on location on set,
Right.
so you're matching to make sure that continuity-wise it looks similar because they're shot, 8 days apart.
Right.
So many basements.
Yes.
It's
yes.
what I do.
But
Yeah.
in crime scenes, you were saying there's
A lot of crime scenes.
2 an episode. It seems like maybe not so much this season, but there
There
has
have
been a lot.
Yeah. A lot of you guys handle the crime scenes too, huh? Right? All that sort
A
of
lot
stuff.
of blood.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
blood. Isaac, you said you wanted to say something about what was it? Season 7.
Oh,
there
season
was
7. Just for the viewers who really pay attention.
yes.
We had one of my favorite set of sets is all within the same set, and if you pay attention, you'll notice that Victor's first apartment is the
Right.
same as Isaac's hotel room where he spent a long
What?
time, which is the same as Quinn's apartment
What?
and Lewis's apartment.
Which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Lewis's apartment was like if there was ever a place I wanted to live, it was Lewis's apartment.
It is one of my
Yeah.
favorite sets. I actually got fan mail from someone who painted that mural in his own apartment.
Wow.
asked me for if
It's David Mack, a little bit, right?
Yeah. It was he in college. I read Kabuki.
Yep.
And when this came up, maybe I dated a fanboy or two. I was like, we need to have like an awesome mural. And I showed Kevin this Kabuki, and I was like, I want this, but obviously you can't just take someone's work and put it up on the wall. And I was like, change it and give me something like this. And he loved it so much, he couldn't change it that much. He made it a more graphic style, and then wrote David Mack and was like, can we, and he didn't tell me he was doing this. He was like, can we maybe use your stuff? And he was totally into it, which then gave us like the opening for tons of other real people to give their stuff over.
There's Alex Party was in there, and David Mack. And
there was even stuff I'm not even that deep into the culture that I knew what some of the pieces were. I do know that the people who were like, I want all of this when it's done.
That was me. I have some broken toys because Jamie smashed them all.
Yeah, she did.
You were talking about a lot of crime scenes earlier. The other thing we do a lot on this show is hotel rooms.
Right.
I feel like we've probably done 5 a season.
To be fair, in 1 hour drama, there's a lot of basements and hotel rooms.
Yeah, you writers are fascinated with hotel rooms, I gotta say.
Like
you think a lot of stuff happens in them, and all I've ever done is drop my bag and, watch the Venture Brothers and pass out. That's all I ever do in a hotel room. But a lot happens that I'm missing out on, and I should have my life written by Scott Reynolds is what I'm thinking.
Sounds good. I'll work that out for you. Well, hey, man, thank you guys so much for coming in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Illuminating
Thank you.
production design, art department, all this good stuff.
I do think it's important to note that there are more people in the art department.
Yes, you want to?
Yeah.
Who else you got in this? In your?
Well, we have Kevin.
We got Kevin, and
graphic designer.
Yeah.
We have Brian, arts department coordinator.
Right.
We have our 2 fabulous PAs, Isabella and Andrew.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also here.
And for the record, if ever you're working on a show, it's always good to hang with the art department.
Aw, that's
Good music
sweet
in
of
here
you.
too all the time, which is great. All right, there you go, art department.
Thank you.
Season 8, Dexter.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.